Oh goodness, I misclicked like a couple of times. Hail to thee, my kindred. I hope you're all having a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, and night, wherever and whenever you are. Oh my goodness, I'm tired. I am tired because I only got to sleep for a few hours. Fewer than usual, like 3 hours roughly. And usually I get to sleep, or at least attempt to sleep, a good 5 or 6, depending on how things go. This time around, no. I had to stay up to to do things, and that unfortunately means that I lack sleep for the day. Oh goodness, I'm thinking about resting after my exercise today. Although even that, I'm doubting I can do much. Yesterday I managed to do it like 4 rounds. I don't know what term to use. 4 rounds of my exercises because I cycle through them, right? I just I do one thing, I do the other thing, I do the other thing, I do the other thing, and then I start from the beginning. And I did that 4 times yesterday, which usually I do 3. I'm starting to get to that point where I can do 4. Although I think I'm gonna stop at 4, and then just simply, after like a week or so, just increase the number of each thing that I do. Because I think that's probably for the best. I do think that, if I keep cycling, there's gonna be like a drop off point. So, instead of doing 20 push ups per round, if that's what I'm calling it, I'm gonna try and push for a little bit more than that. See how that goes. I also have to get these thumbnails done for the rest of the week. Knuckles! Oh no, Knuckles. Knuckles. You just decide to be such a rude little man. Rude little man out here asking how is it going over at Santa's workshop. Why would you think... why don't you explain to the fine people at home why you believe me to work at Santa's workshop? Explain very deliberately and straightforward. Short. Thank you. Your transgressions against me have been noted, and I shall keep this in mind. How goes your day, though? How goes your day, pal? Compatriot? Kindred of mine? It is a Wednesday. I think. It is Wednesday, okay. Playing Morrowind? Good. Morrow all over that wind. I got a question for you. If you were a triangle, would you have been a part of the pyramids of Giza? You've beaten everything now, you're just collecting random bits of loot. What kind of retirement plan is this? Maybe an effective one when you think about it, right? Because if you're a hero in the world, and then the things that you're a hero against are slain, you gotta make money somehow, and the job kind of can't stop, unless you get given money by the local nobles of whatever fantasy land you're talking about, That's the only way that would work out. That or just loot. There's a little comic, not really comic, but some person on Twitter who's made little cute drawings, and I guess technically they are comics, but you know what I mean. They're not an officiated thing or anything like that. That the whole shtick about it is that this adventurer dude and this cat girl chick have a family, but the guy is they used to be part of some adventuring party, and I guess they got jiggy with it at some point, which is why they had to retire from the actual from the actual adventuring party, but the adventuring guy only knows how to do, adventure things, so he's out here trying to make the family money. And he doesn't really get a lot of money for the family. And they have a horse. And one of the daughters might be a druid. And it's very cute. I wish I remembered the artist's name at the moment. You have sent me. I will not be. I just looked at the damn the damn title thing on the video you just sent me. I will not be watching this insulting propaganda piece against my kind. You goofball. And I'm pretty sure I've seen it too. Gnarg, hail to thee, you individual of non-mechanical makeup. I was very much gonna be weird earlier in the morning when I was, just looking at the Discord. Gators, hail to thee as well. Goodness. How do you do? What the heck? Oh yeah. What are the 2 other games I got for the week that I have to make stuff? You're awake? Me too. Me too. Your gums burn after brushing your teeth and with baking soda and hydrogen peroxide. Are you sure you haven't technically made some kind of acid? I am no chemist or alchemist, but if your teeth, or I guess your I was gonna say your gums are burning, I'm pretty sure this isn't the most normal thing to have experienced. You may have concocted something a little different than what you may have intended. Right, I gotta make 3 thumbnails today. One for Dead Space on Friday, Daggerfall for tomorrow, Hunter the Parenting. It should be easy enough. It's gonna take me a bit though. I'm using like a new little thing to try and make thumbnails. That's why I'm making this stream. I wanna continue testing out this little website. See how it goes, how it serves me. A new project. There we go. Use that. I've used it before, but sparingly. I did use it for yesterday's, I guess, thumbnail. But I kind of forgot how to use this thing again. I need to gather a photo, a little picture. Do I have... Actually, I don't remember where the screenshots for Daggerfall are. They gotta be somewhere. I remember taking plenty of little screenshots. So, if I can't find it, I'll be a little sad. Have I used hydrogen peroxide in an open wound? It feels like acid burning your skin. That's what your mouth feels like. Oh. Right! I've honestly completely forgotten that is what oxygen peroxide is used for. Or, sorry, not oxygen, hydrogen. Hydrogen peroxide. Is oxygen peroxide even a thing? I don't think so. I think I'm losing it. My own lack of sleep is getting to me. Goodness gracious, but you're right. Hydrogen peroxide is the stuff they use for wounds. I didn't know it was okay for people to have that in their mouth. I thought... I guess I thought wrong. Now this makes me curious about what other antibacterial apply to your wound type stuff you can put in your mouth. I assume, I guess, a bit, considering you could maybe at some point cut your mouth or something, and you know, someone might be like, hey, splash this in there. It'll be fine. Where was... There it is this gonna show up here, or is it gonna show up on Steam? Gorillas? Like the animals? Because there's no Z there. So I assume like the animal. They're a funny looking creature, in my opinion. Just the way their faces... Unless they're angry, their anger is about the only time they ever look any different than their usual just... They sort of have a resting bitch face, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's kind of just staring at you. And that's about it. They have staring at you, and then they're pissed off at you as looks for their face. It's kind of harmless, you guys, but it burns like a motherfucker on gums after flossing. Ew, that doesn't sound pleasant at all. But you do you, Sheaf. You do you. I feel like you know what you're doing. Hopefully you know what you're doing. Don't know where you got this idea, but hey, as long as you're alive, right? And resources... No, it's not there. Is it in here? No. No, it's not. Is it maybe just randomly in there in my folders? Is it in pictures? Maybe screenshots? Okay, but these are not... These are just screenshots from... something. No, this is just standard screenshots, not actual... screenshots of the in-game stuff. Okay. Maybe I don't have any screenshots. Why the fishy? El Pescado has been here since the beginning. And that is why he must remain so. For he has become one with the stream. And without him, things would be much, much more different than any one of us might ever realize until he is gone. Because it's like the saying goes, right? You don't know what you have until it's gone. And I don't intend on making him go away anytime soon. That and he's been. He's been, and therefore it attracts, you know, it gives some movement for your eyes to latch onto whenever I just decide to be quiet for like 10 seconds straight. Let's see. Local files, maybe. Nope, not there either. Okay, I have no clue how to access the screenshots I took from in-game. So, okay, that's fine. We'll come up with something else. I could probably still use like an old screenshot. Open. How did I do this before? Is it just file? Open in place. Gallery. Oh yeah, I forgot I had the screenshot of the fish of in game when I when I was surprised that I've actually found like the first normal fish in Daggerfall. Maybe it's in the game folder. That's what I tried looking through, and it wasn't there. But I forgot I took like a normal screenshot and not like a in-game like press F what I think it's F12. Like hold on, I'm gonna show you. I'd still it was such a shock seeing a normal fish for the first time in the game. I don't know if you guys remember. It's kind of silly thinking back on it, but it's hold on, I think I can show it off. Yeah, this one. just fish. Just that was it. That's the screenshot. The first non-hostile, non-eldritch looking fish. And in a I almost said tavern, cavern of all places. I could add a little El Pescado's father. Perhaps. Perhaps. You never know. It is not known the heritage of El Pescado, other than he might be a little bit eldritch in its nature, considering he's not in water and he's spinning and alive, so I assume there's some divine chicanery going on there. We're gonna put little Fumaro in the back. That'll be the thumbnail. I think I do have the Elder Scrolls like name plate that I can also put in the thing. Nameplate, the title. Not the nameplate. The title. I forgot I have that picture of Fumaro, but without a beard. It's a little strange to me to see Fumaro without a beard. But it's just one little picture like that. Because that was when I was still drawing it, and I was like, I had the beard layered on a different layer in case I messed it up and wanted to erase stuff. Okay, how do I make him kind of colored like the same as the background? Maybe I'll have him like far off in the distance. Paragraph, character, brush maybe? There's gotta be a way to edit the actual things I insert in there. Gradient tool. Not sure if that's what I'm looking for. Maybe not. Oh, my legs. It was hella cold outside today, incredibly so. I had to layer up this time around going out. At least I got my doubloons in my bank account now, so there is that. They are in there to be used for stuff and things. I ate some pasta too. It was pretty alright. Pasta with ground... I can't remember. Probably chicken meat. I did run out of protein powder a day or two ago, and that makes me a little sad. No protein powder, and it tastes so good. It tastes so good because it's chocolate flavor, and it doesn't have a lot of sugar in it, and now it's gone and it's over. cry, I will. I will cry like the children of Adam. Okay, that is not how that works. Okay. Leave it on resize. Okay, this isn't... Image, maybe? Image... Reduce color, Auto-tone. Does that... It does look different. Okay. Don't know if it tones it in the direction of color that I mean, it does work technically, so there is that. Let me go back to the image thing again. Auto contrast? No difference there. Auto color. So the only one that gives it a different change is auto tone. Let's see, vibrance, color balance, hue saturation. Whoa. Well, RGB food model. Hold on. This is a little weird. Okay. Okay. Saturation. I don't think that's affecting something the way I wish it to. Maybe lightness? I guess I could try to sample. Okay, I cannot do that. Let's see, master, red, yellow, probably cyan. Okay, that doesn't even look like it's actually changing the color at all. Okay, that's kinda how you do that. Saturation. Can't go less than 0. Okay. It still doesn't look right. You know what? That's good enough. Oh, no, I did not apply it. Okay, there we go. Apply that. Looks a little funky, but it is what it is. Now I gotta find my title, because I don't remember where I put that thing. Hopefully it's in this folder. Yes, it is. Okay. Still kind of plain Jane. But it's not too bad, I guess. It's better than nothing. Not very creative with this. I'm not very creative with this one. I'm gonna start trying a bit. Holy moly. Where's my coffee? It's right here. Hopefully it stays hot for the foreseeable future. Yes, like my non-existent wife. I got a better idea for the Dead Space one, but that one's gonna take a little bit of time, which is fine. Let's see, how do I download this again? I think I go to file, export as PNG, name it to, I think I don't even remember what number of thumbnail I'm on at this point. We'll call it that, and then we'll save. Let me see my folders. This video isn't supposed to be there. You go back out here. You're supposed to be... Well, not here. You're supposed to be in this folder. There we go. What do I think? What do I think of what? Oh, you sent me something. The Girl from Gunma, Kai. Pseudo-retro 2D side-scrolling shooter with a variety of gameplay in 8 stages with visuals. TMS 991 as a something as a spec and a something palette. And the sound PSG plus SCC enhanced to mimic the MSX standard popular in Japan in the 1980s, formally released for smartphones in 2014, and then passed through Steam Greenlight. The release was delayed for about 10 years. I've never seen this game. Let me just like look at it in the Steam app, or I guess the Steam website. I forget how loud the sound volume tends to be. You might buy it for yourself. Looks cool. It certainly is up at the time. And by that I mean not literally, but you know, they certainly worked well on that vibe. Cuz I know technically it came out in 2014. How much is it? $10. Not bad, not bad. I don't think I've really played a game like, well, I guess technically I may have, but like not in a long time. In a long time. Might be worth it though. Might be worth it. They said only 8 stages, right? So that's not a lot, but in those kinds of games you tend to die a lot anyways, so at least if you're me, you know. Oh, there's 8 stages in total, but there are 3 hidden stages. That might be fun for you to look for. It's still funny that it's just like the girl from Gun Makai. Like, what the hell is a Gun Makai? Right, that's one thumbnail done. And then, where do I go for a new project? I guess I'll just like refresh the page or something, right? That should technically give me, yes, leave. There we go. New project, YouTube thumbnail. Now I gotta make one for Dead Space. I feel like Dead Space is gonna be fun. I don't know if this is gonna fit in the frame. I guess I could. How hard would it be for me to remove the head? Maybe not too difficult. I almost forgot how to save an image. I was looking at my computer like dumbfounded for half a second. Okay, I gotta zoom in. There we go. Now we're gonna need to pull up another file. Open in place. I think I might need to flip it. I don't know if you can actually flip an image on this thing. I might have to do it outside of this little website. Unless I can look it up, maybe. Let me see. Okay, I think I might know. I might have found the answer. Or maybe not. Let me see. These are pictures, so I can't really see very well. Open. Then I go to that option. That doesn't really make much sense, but okay. Let's give it a shot here. Okay, get that one. Go to pictures. Which face do I want to use? Probably this one. Oh. Okay, there we go. Don't know why it sort of took me out of the damn browser, but the issue has been amended. Now I gotta resize this thing. Image. Normally it lets you do that automatically. So I don't know why it didn't let me do that right now. Open in place. I kind of wish I could put music in the background again, but because we're also streaming on YouTube, I can't. I cannot. Shame. Shame it is. There we go. Maybe like that. And then let me see. Can I... Okay, there's warp. That's not what I want to do with that. Skew, scale, rotate, flip. Okay, I can flip an image in this. Good, good. I forgot what horizontal was. Okay, that's what horizontal is. I figured it out. I'm a genius. Okay, now I just gotta do a bit of erasing here and there. Make sure things are looking prim and proper. How do I erase things again? Not that button. Current layer, okay. I think. Okay, sure, do that. Oh, no, that's the magic tool option of that. That is not what I meant to use. Okay, that is also not correct. Where's the normal eraser? Is it under brush? How the hell did I do this before? Come on. It's not blur tool. Okay, that's spot healing, that's why. Is it magic? No, it's not that one either. It's not that. Thought it was this. Damn, I cannot find the eraser tool. I just realized this looks really crunchy when it's sized down. That is no good, but not much I can do about that. Is it over here? No, that only affects the brush. I swear it was under brush that you could change it to like a proper eraser. Let's see. Okay, I have to right click on the eraser itself to change what kind of thing I want to use. Got you, got you, got you. Or sorry, on the brush, and then it shows me eraser. Okay, there we go. Alright. This might just end up looking wrong, so I might just go for something more basic by the end of this. Yeah, that's not gonna be looking right at all. It would be kind of cool if I could pull it off, but I mean, theoretically, I still could, if I want to be a little sillier, just try to crop off the, well, no. Trying to see if I can just place the horns here on Isaac Clarke and call it a day. But I don't think it's gonna look anything other than just fucked up. Okay, let me zoom in. That would help if I did that. Go back to the eraser. You know what I haven't heard in forever? Backstreet Boys. Random thing to bring up, I know, but it's just a thing I haven't heard. There we go. Maybe if I can resize the image again, it'll look fine. Let's see. Zoom out a little bit. And the image. I'm making something because no screen. No, I know there's no screen. I know there's no screen. I'm just making a little thumbnail for the next couple of, well, for the rest of the streams this week, that is. So that I have them, you know? Because I'm kind of tired of, scrambling to make something after every stream. So I decided to just take this stream to see if I can make a thing or two. Worry not, I do know that it is not on the screen. That is intentional. I do not want you to see my strange little machinations until I decide they are ready to be shown to the world. Okay, all I gotta do is make this small. Can I do that in the image size? Okay, why can't it be a little bit easier to edit the image without having to do that? Okay, let's see what we can work with here. Does this kind of work? Not really. Okay. What about this? Can we actively see the change? Okay, no, that does not. Changes the whole damn thing. Oh, I'm moving things again. Okay. I want this specifically to be edited. Can I do that? Yes, I can. Okay, good. That's what I wanted to do. Yeah, that doesn't look right. Damn it. Damn it. Oh well. Oopsie daisies. I guess I'll just make something simpler. Nothing wrong with simple. Would have been a little funny if I could pull that off, though. So any plans for this weekend? Or just the typical stuff? The usual. Okay, erase that, erase that. Bring this over here, upload that. I have to take the thumbnail of the episode of under the parenting that I'm gonna start at Saturday. Reminding myself to do that. Let me see if I can get a font that's similar to the title's font. I doubt it. Hmm. I always hate that I gotta change the color of the freaking text. It's a little nuisance. Size it. That's a fine size. Canvas. Let's see. Not canvas. Thing. I'm just gonna say thing. Forgot the ones that are grayed out can't get used normally. Okay. That might look a little too silly. Maybe this one? No, certainly not that one. Okay, what font? Okay, why are all of these fonts just kind of bad? Okay, which one looks the least bad? I guess this one looks fine. I just gotta size it up. Yeah, I guess I don't technically need to put that in there since I already put them in playlists, so... Let me erase this. I gotta stop shrimping. It is hurting my lower back. Boiled crab. I would like some boiled crab. I think that would be very cool. I just realized something. Caster Labs is only showing up, or at least the one message it sent is only showing up on YouTube. I think last time it showed up on both streams, so maybe it's just a today thing. Why is this so small? Expand that. Lower this. That's fine enough, I guess. I won't worry about it right now. I will not. Then go back to projects. Go to that one. Label this one number 4. Need to go back over here to download the thumbnail. That is... Why is it on that? Oh, right. I'm me asking myself questions that I should know the answer to. Okay, view playlist. I was at... I think 3.5 was the one. If I go then do this, then I can go back over here. Download, save image. I don't mean to put that entire thing like that. Just a little bit out of the thing. Put this back over here. Squeeze this a little bit more further back. There we go. I actually need to make sure that image is lined up correctly. Close enough. Forgot that I also tend to make the background image like that for these specific ones. So let me do this. Edit, blur. Where's the blur effect? There it is. Whole image. We'll keep it at like 50%. Nope, 50%. There we go. Send it all the way back. Want to edit this image. Can we do that? Make something funky like that? Kinda, sorta. Kinda, sorta. Minty's a little too much. Outrun is also a bit much. Okay. That's good enough there. Then go to tools. Gotta zoom in real. Oh, okay. I didn't think that was gonna actually do that if I did that. Can I change the size of the thing? I hope I can. Let me see. Lines, no. Settings. Okay, real small. Maybe too small. Increase it. And do the same on the other eye. That's a little too far that way. Mess that up. Even the other first eye looks fucked up, but that's fine. Okay, that's good enough for me, so I'll do that. Download. Go over to YouTube. Start placing those in their respective things. I won't worry about Sunday. I think I'm just gonna reuse the same thumbnail whenever we're doing this kind of thing where I'm just doing my thing. Not gonna worry too much about it. Wait, I forgot how to do things right. I have to go to live and then I gotta schedule stuff. So tomorrow, let's see. There we go. View settings. Change that. Go to my thumbnails folder. Use this one. That's not the one. That one. Make sure it's in the right playlist. Title. All that good stuff. Okay, make sure this is correct. Make sure that is correct. That is for tomorrow at this time. Schedule another one. Kind of forgot to put text on that one. I was meaning to do that. Forgot about the text on the screen. Okay, that's not a word. That's not a word. I can't type that, because that's not a word. I gotta type actual words, and can the words be of that color? Thank you. Okay, I guess they're just gonna revert for no reason, other than to spite me. There we go. I do have to check up on something real quick, so I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Oh jeez. I twisted the mic. I didn't mean to do that. I forgot that I have to do that before I unmute it. Dang it. Guess whose tub filled up with water again for no good reason. I'm gonna have to clean that up. You hate to see it. You hate to see it. You truly do. I guess since this is a new game, I'm gonna have to just reuse settings on a random one. Oh, it's spaced out. That no. Okay, the original Dead Space came out when? 11? I'm gonna assume so. So space this out. Come up with a title. A playlist. Let me change that as well. Go to next, go to next. Make sure it's put on the correct date. Correct time. Done with that. Then schedule up the last one. Among Us? Sure thing, Knuckles. Sure thing. You are eternally entertained. There we go. And that's 3 things scheduled up. The next 3 days set up prim and proper. Now I'm done with that. Now I just gotta sit here and worry, I guess. I really, like... I feel like even if I go over to this individual whose job it is to amend the issues of the building, I don't think he's actually gonna want to do it. Because this is pissing me off, you know? I know I've complained about it enough already, but it genuinely is a bit of an issue to me when I am trying to simply be chill and do my thing, and then I hear the pipes making sounds, and then I go to the bathroom and boom, tub is just flooded with water. Nasty water too. It's not even clean. This is nasty stuff. And it's like clearly there's something fucked up with the pipes. But no, instead of fixing it, they just decide to do something different, something temporary every damn time. And it's only getting worse and worse. And I feel like motherfucker's only gonna call it in when it gets to the point that it can't really be ignored anymore. Little temporary fixes. At least the stuff goes back down the drain easily enough, so it's not like there's necessarily a clog. But at some point, like, I don't know what's even happening. As far as I understand it, it basically boils down to other people using their own, showers and whatnot, and apparently that's too much water because, I'm on the level floor, so the water pipes go down to my pipes, and then I guess something's up with my pipes that it doesn't handle it properly. But hey, what the hell, right? Man, I was meaning to get in touch with that guy in the beginning of the fucking week too. Because every weekend that fucker goes on to somewhere, and I don't know where, he just goes somewhere. Let me look around. Let me look around on the interwebs to see if there's anything going on, any ongoings. Excuse me. Doesn't seem like much is going on, actually. I'm like scrolling around. Let's see. What the hell are these two? A couple of days ago, I did watch a single episode because it was somebody that I was kind of hanging out with vicariously, which I don't know what that would even mean, but I was in a Discord like call with somebody, and then another person joined in that I didn't really know, and we watched like an episode of what's that thing called? Stranger Things, I think Dairy Town, like the little show that's going on right now with with it. Did I say Stranger Things? Am I crazy? Yes, I think I did say Stranger Things. It's because, like, that show and Stranger Things, like, kind of are similar in my brain, even though they're not the same thing. I meant, like, like, the It movies. So there's, like, apparently, like, a show going on, and I watched, like, one episode. I think it was episode 6 or something with this person, and it was actually pretty alright. It intrigued me, but the acting is, as you can expect, they have kid actors there. So some of the scenes are like, I don't know. You can't really blame them too much though. Seems like a pretty decent show so far, and apparently that episode that I watched with that person was the first time in the season that the it creature thing is shown, at least within the show. It's kind of funny though, because like they just entering it with like no context. They do a pretty good job at like the characterizations though, I think, at least in my humble opinion. They're kind of likable, and that's fine. Like, you kind of get to know who's, what attitudes, like, just based off of how they are shown in the show, the, like, characters and whatnot. It's like, you get a general idea for how they are, even if you just enter the damn thing halfway through, which I don't know how long this show's gonna be. And I kind of doubt it's gonna be a whole, I mean, it might be like a whole 30 episodes. Unsure, though. How long does, like, a season tend to be these days for a show? I guess it kind of depends on the show itself, right? Hmm. Hmm. I once again am yearning to have a cat. And I want to do like that funny little spinning in your chair with your cat on your lap type thing. Like an evil mastermind. Hmm. Oh, jeez. Ow. Okay, that little stretch didn't help out. I think that little stretch I did just did the opposite. That's cool, though. That's cool. It's whatever. Hmm. When is this new episode of Space King coming out? It's like the fourth episode? I think the teaser came out. A little teaser for it's like barely 30 seconds. 26 seconds. It's a funny show. It's just a little goofy. Not this poor cat. No. No, how can it be so foolish? Somehow. How is watching a... I'm just sitting here now, watching this poor little baby cat, like, look at a computer screen because there's sizzling bacon on it, like, as a video, and it's trying to consume it, and it cannot. It is... it is not knowledgeable enough to understand it cannot eat that bacon. It is not real. It is but a illusion. Apparently there's still... I feel like there's like... I kind of forgot that Ethan Klein was like doing... What was it? Like his little thing. His beefing with everybody. I say everybody, but like specific people, I mean. I completely forgot about that. Isn't he like suing a couple of folks too? I remember specifically that there was something about him going around and suing some folks. Don't remember exactly why. Can we put this on this side of the screen? Because I don't want that to be in the middle there while I'm trying to check on that. Wiki! Hail to thee! How do you do? How do you do, pal? I myself am doing fine, I suppose. and got finished with the thumbnails I was deciding to work on. Admittedly, I've got not much to talk about, if I'm being completely fair. You live, that is good. It is good that you live. Living is a privilege. One people tend to forget. But other than that, I guess I'm doing alright. I didn't get much sleep though. Underwhelming gadget job. Gadget job? Gadget job. Heavens above. Gadget job. How do I feel about this phrasing? This verbiage? DJ Khaled said life is roadblocks. I think he meant roadblocks, but to each their own. Maybe he did say life is roadblocks. Mayhaps. It is always a possibility. It is not outside the realm of possible things he may have said. He is a very peculiar man, as far as I know. What does this have to do with you, though? You live? What have you done today? Because I barely got any sleep today. I'm probably gonna sleep after I take a shower today. That's just straight up. I'm gonna consume food. Or no, exercise, then consume food. No, well, exercise, shower, consume food, then rest. You try to study a bit? That's great. Did it work out? You're playing a video game. Well, I guess that is to say it did not work out. Hmm. I am the master of reading between the lines. You could say something of that nature, and it would be a complete lie. Or maybe not. Maybe I am the master of reading between the lines, but not reading the actual lines. As I tend to stumble upon words like a newborn seal. You ever seen a newborn seal? They are absolutely adorable. Absolutely precious little things. Precious little life forms of this grand old planet. I don't think... You don't think seals stumble? Well, take it as a metaphor then. Take it as a metaphor. I'll be back real quick. I'm just gonna check on the tub again to make sure it's not flooded again. Okay, luckily for me, tub is not, once again, just flooded. I'm still gonna have to clean that up later, though. Oh, hello there, Seb. Hail to thee, how do you do? You're no good with metaphors? Why not? Why not? It's just a simple little metaphor, you know, a seal stumbling. It is kind of sad that a lot of those little ones get eaten, though. You know, seals gotta be one of the silliest creatures just around. I cannot think about a sillier creature, both in form and attitude. I mean, I know they're actually kind of a problem, like the ones in the wild are sort of a problem. Maybe. They can theoretically decide to eat you. Theoretically. Usually they don't, though. Actually, I don't think there's any seal-related fatalities when it comes to people. Someone should look that up, actually. Now I'm curious, but I'm not curious enough to look it up myself. I just like looked at my Discord or not my Discord, but I just opened it up again. Just because I wanted to see if there was anything there, and I just see Knuckles, you know, having sent me the underwhelming gadget job GIF. Thank you, Knuckles. That is very pleasant of you to do. Why am I on seals? Have I watched some seal-related media? No, not recently. Seals are just always on my mind, strangely enough. Okay, not always, but I watched something seal-related a few days ago. It was a short little video, that is all. That is about as much seal-related media as I've watched this entire week. Just one small clip of one acting like a goofball of a human being, but they were not a human being because they're a seal. Now, I'm learning something new about ghost stories. You guys ever seen Ghost Stories, the anime? Or I guess the dub. It's only a short clip, minute 32. And you gotta be careful when it comes to taking things as fact, but I wouldn't be too surprised if it was true. You've only ever seen clips from the dub. Fair enough, actually. Apparently, it's I don't know where the full video this comes from is, but seems like the fellow is making a fair dismantlement of the argument that, because usually the justification as to why the dub is the way that it is has always been justified as the longest time as just the series doing poorly in Japan, and therefore the dub team was allowed to do whatever. But apparently that's a lie. Apparently the show actually did pretty damn good in Japan. So good, in fact, that the ratings were higher than Pokemon for a while. Which, that's kind of a big deal. And apparently this was just a case of, as far as, you know, at least the argument from this small clip that this individual is giving is that, you know, the dub team just decided to do a dub team thing. But instead of it being, you know, like in today's day and age, you know, the socially acceptable things of the time was to be hella edgy, so that's what they did. Kind of want to see where this comes from. Okay, there's the link to the video. It's a 34-minute video. Okay, let me, can I grab the, okay, press share, open a new link. Baldolotl. Yuki's still on about Baldolotl. Okay, so the video is called How This Anime Company Lied to You. It wasn't just Jello Apocalypse. Jello Apocalypse, that's a name I've heard before. Oh, this video is like a year old. Let's see, what's this even about in general? An industry standard, the inevitable consequences, entering Jello Apocalypse and Lovely Complex. I guess it's regarding them. I don't know what issues. Okay. You deserve Baldolotl, and Knuckles is also saying Baldolotl. We will have some Baldolotl. Just give me a momentum, because I sort of kind of want to watch this video with you guys. I don't know what this is all about. I'm assuming, let me see, let me read the description of the video. Last month, the dub of Lovely Complex was released, and with it came a slew of controversy. Unfortunately, due to the sly words of all those involved, the incident was quickly dismissed by many. So today we will be dismantling the lies of Discotheque, Discotheque, Sound Cadence, and several other entities told to mislead you about the nature of what was changed and who changed them. We will also be covering related situations, such as the recent Yakuza localization issues, and even dispelling what many believe about the famous Ghost Stories incident. Huh. You've come here for me, not for video. Well, I'm here, and I want to watch the video. What's wrong with that? Can a man not witness a video he finds interesting in this day and age? Why are you holding a blade? Why are you gonna cut me or something? Flippin', tail to thee. Oh goodness. Sorry, it's a spontaneous need to stretch. Spinfish, why? El pescado is here to stay. El pescado always does el pescado things. Cause you're more important than the video. And as Yuki has, rebutted or just answered the question. El pescado, that's why. Very true, very real. Did I already ask how both of your days are going, or did I forget? I hope it's going alright. Sturgeon. Yes, it is a sturgeon. I worked in the field of medicine for quite some time. Sí, claro. It is wise not to ask many questions. I too do not know where exactly he came from, or how he even got here. But he's been here for long enough that he's just part of the gang, you know? Eldritch little fish lad. You have mood swings? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. How were your things today, though? Did they go fine? I hope they went fine, despite the mood swings. And I hope you're all, warm and cozied up today, or at least right now, because I remember us chatting a little earlier, and I assume it's very cold over where you are. Let me see, how do I want to do this? Okay. Put that away. If not counting mood, today was usual. Better than bad. Better than bad. So that's great. Usual is good and fine. Dimitri Monroe. What other things has this I feel like I've watched something from this individual before. Long ago, maybe. Let me just scroll through this to see if anything shows up as familiar. Oh wow, this person does not make that many videos a year. Quite scarcely do they make a video. Okay. You know, that's not too unusual. Some YouTubers are like that. But they do seem to make well enough numbers. Okay, let me go back to that video. Nope. Don't play. Not yet. Yellow, you want to pet my horns. I don't know why you would wish to pet my horns. It's not like I'm gonna feel anything, but sure. Watch out for the tips though. They're kinda pointy. Handlebars? Affirmative. If you get on my shoulders, they're a good place to hold on to while I just kind of carry you around on my shoulders. Not good for much of anything else, believe it or not. Hoodies are a problem. Helmets, you gotta put a hole in them. That sounds like fun, yeah. You sort of get to steer me around, but don't be too rough, alright? My neck will hurt. If you start just start trying to turn me around like all over the place. Why would you be on my shoulders? How else are you supposed to use the handlebars to steer me in whichever direction you wish for me to go? I mean, maybe not you specifically. Not everybody is a tall giant, okay? My apologies for making the assumption that you would not, that you would like to have some fun by being on my shoulders and steering me to whichever location you shall wish to go. From the other side? What do you mean by this? What do you mean by that? What do you mean the other side? Is this a conversation in which I need to cover the lamp pup's ears right now? Nothing? Sure, nothing. Nothing at all. Is it gonna be cold as hell tomorrow? Where's my phone? I ask myself these stupid questions. Where's my phone? It's right in front of me. I am using it to read chat. And I ask myself, where is my phone? Why am I this foolish? You are scary and evil, so you're allowed to joke like this. You always try to justify, the more you justify why you're allowed to metaphorically pull my leg, the more it seems like you are not, in fact, scary or evil. Someone truly scary and evil wouldn't need to justify shit. But you always try to justify it by saying that you're scary and evil. But the more you say you're scary and evil, the more it convinces me that you may not actually be scary and evil. I wish I could do a poll. Can I do a poll over here? I can't do it on like both streams, but I'm pretty sure I could at least do it. Hold on, how do I do these things? I actually don't know how. Shield mode, no mod, chat settings. Okay, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. Never mind. Never mind my idea. We could go with the classic nay and yay approach of things. So all in favor of Yuki being in fact scary and evil, say yay. Those of you who are a like-mindedness such as myself, say nay to Yuki being scary and evil. This is how we'll decide this. My face is itchy. Okay. Why is this the case? Because it decides to be so. Coward. Wiggy is a coward. Good to know. What was I gonna check? Right, weather. I need to check if tomorrow shall come very coldly. Oh goodness. Oh goodness. Why does it say negative? Not even negative, but like 18 degrees. The lowest it'll be. When? When will that be? I hope that's not any time I have to be outside. Okay, we only have Yuki going for yay. Everybody else has refrained from from the vote, so to speak. I'm gay. Why is that just your response? You have no other responses. You cannot conjure up anything else. You'll eat my blanket. You know what? At least that's something else. And beggars can't be choosers, but at least it's something else other than you calling me gay with the AE as opposed to AY. I still will argue that you're just looking in the mirror, but that's okay. That's okay. What was I gonna do again? Right. I wanted to watch a video. I wanted to watch this little video. Because I don't know who in the world discotheque is. Or what went down with Jello Apocalypse. Like, I don't know what that's all about. Some drama I'm late upon. I think I honestly probably heard about it in the periphery. By the way, I promised to play with you. Or I promise you to play. Yeah, promise to play when? I don't know. Whenever I decide to do a little thing again. That's when. You cannot rush these things. You absolute goober. But probably near the end of the month, I'm assuming you want soon. Well, I only have like a couple of games, and I there's like Peak. I guess there's the like multiplayer SCP thing you and I played once. The end? The end. Yes. I don't know what you're referring to, but okay. You'll cry. Why will you cry? You are patient. You're patient. You'll be fine. You'll survive. I'm sure I'll come up with something. We're literally starting the week. I mean, not just the week. We're literally starting the month. So it's not like I've got much planned as of yet. I guess if you guys really want it, I'll do a little poll on the Discord and see how many of you want to play Peak again or something else. You think I just don't want to play with you. You're poisonous, not toxic. What does this have to do with anything? And are you threatening to bite me again because you're referencing that you are poisonous, not toxic? Is this just like a very roundabout way of saying you're gonna bite me? I'm slightly concerned. Let's see. Bam? Nope, wrong one. Why am I confused? Here we go. Yeah. Go there. I'll zoom in here. Mind you, I got barely any context to whatever this late, I'm late to the party on whatever this drama was all about. I guess localization, which, I've sort of heard about here and there, and people's little arguments here and there. Let me just make sure I'm actually on the correct thing. Let me show it on the screen. We'll just watch this. I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued. We don't even have to play on stream. You consider me a friend at least. I talk to you more than once a month. Hey, I mean, we can play off stream if you want some other time. I don't know when though. Maybe the weekend. Because that's when I actually get to sleep normally.
It's a shame that discotheque controversy with Jello Apocalypse is going to be used as fuel by the worst anti-dub/localization weirdos online for like the next 5 years.
My absolute best advice to new aspiring
The
translators in this current climate:
video is
find
kind of
yourself
low,
a group chat of trusted
at least to
friends
me,
and/or
in
industry
volume.
peers. Wanna brag? Discord. Tweak the story, soften some bigotry. Discord.
Actually, Brendan for filling out all the checkboxes of a localizer boogeyman by drying out his undies on the internet for all to see. Legitimately, you. You're perpetuating chud nonsense.
not shud nonsense. Shud nonsense. I gotta use that phrase.
Me is if an anime distributor were to admit how they ruined 50 million anime. Imagine the backlash against peaceful localizers.
I like how I know this person's like using different people to like voice each comment or whatever, each Twitter thing, but like the switch up in the quality of microphones caught me a little off guard.
If you partake in anime to any degree, there's no doubt you've become well acquainted with big publishing companies throughout the Western industry over the years, your Crunchyrolls and Funimations. However, I'd wager there's at least a decent portion of you who are not at all familiar with Discotek. They're actually a company that goes all the way back to 2005.
Really?
They have been steadily increasing their output since, and over the years, Discotek has gotten a pretty decent reputation for themselves. They're often seen as the underdog compared to the big guys, selling themselves as a small group of truly passionate anime fans, bringing you high-quality classic content.
Oh yeah, I kind of forgot to do a little thing that I always do. Just like the video. Dimitri Monroe is who this is by. There we go. That's all I try to make sure I show off who the thing is made by before I freaking watch things, and I kind of forgot there for a second, so sorry about that.
However, I've never really liked Discotek for quite a few reasons, which I'd like to go into here, so we can establish this as a pattern within the company and those who run it, not simply existing as an outlier, as many will try to portray this situation as. So let's first look at the business. Despite being seen as the small indie company, they have direct ties to Crunchyroll and many other big names in the industry, money frequently swapping hands, and you'd be forgiven for not thinking much of this, believing it to just be a matter of further licensing out their releases elsewhere, or them making promotional strides. But it's much deeper than that, as when we look at those running the company directly, you'll not only see names with personal connections, but those like producer Justin Savakis, the original owner and periodic contributor to Anime News Network. We talked about ANN a few times in the past, but to be brief, Anime News Network, as their name implies, is an anime coverage site, but they are more often interested in defending censorship and pushing left-wing ideology concepts on the community, even going as far as to lie and mistranslate the words of authors and creatives to make them align with ANN's views. That's no exaggeration.
It's already shaping up to be quite the controversy, huh? Yeah, I think I'm starting to remember a little bit about this whole localizer issue that sort of, I think nowadays has basically died down, right? I think people have just kind of, at least from what I'm remembering at the moment, which is very little, I think people are just, they either don't care all that much for localizers anymore. Like, at least I've seen a lot of animosity towards localizers as of recently. Not even recently, but like just nowadays, there's a more affirmed disliking, I should say. There's a more affirmed disliking of a lot of localizers. Why are you gripping that little guy? What's that emote? You just gripping that person. little person. Is that how you imagine yourself? Just yoinking me from my humble abode? Just yoink. You are very tall, so you would be capable of that, I would imagine.
Duration either. In a 2021 interview with the Megalobox creator.
Oh, I can remember this anime. At least, I think I watched a little bit of it. This is the one that, it's like a boxing anime, but like, sort of sci-fi-ish. No, I'm too big. What do you mean by this? I'm fucking with you. I don't remember all that much about this anime. All I remember is that like the guy refused to like use too much augmentation or something like that, and that was like a whole point. And then I think it was season 2. I kind of don't remember if it was like all within one season or season 1 and then season 2 is when he's all older and whatnot.
Anime News Network's translation included the phrase toxic masculinity, which became highly questioned by readers, resulting in much of ANN's staff taking to social media to shoot down these questions. One staff member, Lindsay Loveridge, stated, "I already got some bozos in the comments asking what the actual Japanese term was used, that frog-kun, translated as toxic masculinity. Just asking questions. Maybe try not thinking an entire country or people are politically neutral machines." With Kim Morrissey,
I mean, that's kind of
also
fair,
known as
but
Frog-kun,
could have phrased that in a
following this
less.
up, stating the interview was
It could have phrased something like that in a less aggressive manner.
by a Japanese speaker on ANN's side, so there was no issue with misrepresenting the creative staff. It was accurate. In a normal situation, readers would be able to double check this themselves, and what I'm about to tell you is also the reason why we haven't gone over the interview yet. Anime News Network decided to not release the original Japanese transcripts for this interview.
Oh.
You had to simply trust their word.
Now that is suspicious and kind of fucked. You can't do that. You can't do that and expect people to trust you if you withhold the freaking thing.
Seemed rather fishy. Even an open feminist was questioning their methodology here, leading to staff having a public meltdown in response to this user, like earlier comments, stating, "No, I'm not going to provide the Japanese text of the interview for you, because you have made up a reason to doubt Kim's professionalism. We shouldn't have to humor your baseless theories." Well, the interview did later release in Japanese, and lo and behold, that is not at all what the author stated. His words more directly translated would be, however, Joe, who has lost his father Nambu, tries to fulfill the role of father himself and ends up hurting his family. This exposes a young man now trapped in the curse of manhood. Where in Anime News Network's version, manhood or masculinity becomes toxic masculinity. This is point blank a bad translation. In Japan, they do have a way to say toxic masculinity, which is yuganai otoko rashisa, and
Okay.
it's used frequently enough in bad think pieces, Wikipedia pages, and what have you. It's legitimate. If this is what he meant, he could have said it. And even if the argument becomes he didn't know this term, well, that's not an argument.
Yeah, that's they got caught red-handed essentially. They just didn't want to give up the script because they know people would have fucking kind of roasted them for that. So it makes sense, I guess, that they have their own word for that and that he would have used it if that's what he meant.
That's still not what he said. Further to this point, there are about a dozen ways to translate his sentence accurately, without adding a term that comes with very specific political baggage, as commentary on a male's role in society is a timeless discussion that has existed for centuries. In fact, all you had to do was not insert a word that didn't exist. Putting toxic in front was a very clear move to change the meaning. As the words of the author imply social expectations, the burdens one takes as being a man of a household, not gender essentialism. The idea that these concepts are bad in their entirety. Therefore, it becomes obvious why Anime News Network chose to hide the interview, and why many others would question their handling, including people whom you would frequently associate this word usage with, like a
I don't particularly care either way, as in I have my own thoughts about the anime feminism collective, however relevant that might be here, but also people whining about anyone trying to push an agenda clearly aren't watching the show. But out of pure curiosity, I do wonder what was being said in Japanese that was translated into toxic masculinity. I don't suppose the script is available. Yeah, this is the person that he referred to earlier. Or, I don't know if he's a he.
feminist. Because from the surrounding context, it was obvious the phrasing was an ill-fitted attempt to push their narrative slyly into the author's words. Now, bringing this back to Discotheque, it's not a surprise that the original owner and frequent contributor of the internet's most trusted anime news source, as ANN calls themselves, would be in a high chair position in the company, as their questionable history
What is that from? Okay, flying phantom ship, it says it right there. Good. What is that scene? It's got a goofy skeleton man. Hold on.
Would be in a high chair position in the company.
Bro did not care. Glass shatters, right? I mean, I guess you wouldn't care too much about anything if you're just dead already. So, makes sense, makes sense. Man did not give a damn about glass breaking in front of his face. That's a cool little tank, though.
Questionable history doesn't just stop at their employees' connections and past. We can even see these same views pop up in previous Discotheque releases. Back in 2013, they licensed a release of Cat Ninden Tiande, also known as Samurai Pizza Cats, with
Samurai
the moniker
Pizza
of it being
Cat.
an uncut edition. Yet it had multiple instances of censorship throughout it. These removals fit into a few categories. Firstly, anything that can be seen as a gay joke or similarly unprogressive speak was cut, which we will be using in exchange between Wonko and Korn to exemplify. Translating the original, Wonko says this: "Yes, I shall use them." Where Korn responds, "Goodness, Wonko, you say you have a boyfriend? I didn't know you were a homo." The word used here is kare, which can mean boyfriend or he, where if you add the ra on the end, it becomes plural, meaning they. If you were to translate this faithfully, I think it would be easiest to change the wording from "you say you have a boyfriend" to "you say you're going to use them," thus keeping the joke, the intent of the words, which is how translation should be handled. But believe it or not, you don't need to know Japanese to understand what kind of joke is being told regardless. Listen carefully to the audio as I show the Discotheque release.
いや、ワンコの神、彼がいるだなんて、あんた、ホモだったの？勘違いにも程があります。
The key word here is the same in English. And ignoring the poor grammar here, not only is the joke obviously censored, but Wonko's reaction seems fairly overblown now, in response to being accused of pushing his work on others, especially in a government official position, where you would be doing that anyway. There are several other examples in Disco
Damn, this whole thing got a game?
that don't involve any
How popular
wordplay
was
either.
this freaking
In episode
anime?
53, Karamaru keeps calling Korn a queer fox, which instead becomes Sly Fox, not exactly possessing the same meaning or even really an insult, once again leading to this disconnect. However, let's move on to the second category, which would be anything sexual, with a particular focus on scenarios that come at the expense of a female character. In episode 21, our three heroes are infighting, where Yataru decides to insult Pururun, with him stating, "Who are you calling a loser, you flat chest?" Pururun responding,
Not calling her a
"What do you mean,
flat
flat chest? I dare you to say that again." Both boys now stating flat chest. Now for discotheques.
They really said, "You got no boobs. You got no boobs."
モテないとはなんだこのペチャパイ。
ペチャパイとは何よ。もう一回言ってごらん。
ペチャパイ。
It seems referencing her chest size was just too much for the uncut release of this anime, so they decided to try and use tomboy as an insult, despite it not making sense in this scene, as the insults being thrown around are actual traits of the characters, while this seems random, as Pururun couldn't be further from this descriptor. She's cutesy, clad in pink, and her projectile weapons are heart-shaped. Everything about her is fairly girly, once again putting the subs at odds with the content. Now, many would argue that
I mean,
this
listen, I can understand there being some things getting switched up here and there, a little bit of censorship on some things, depending on, I guess, the time this was translated or subbed or even dubbed, right? Like, it's understandable for some of it to be cut out, I think. But, like, other times it's like, you know, it's like, why? You know, why? Because I understand, like, some jokes may not fly too smoothly nowadays, but, like, especially if it was during the time, I would say, it's a bit weirder for it, especially at the time, to get the translations or words. Keep the slurs. I'm not saying, like, you know, like, if your job is to translate, it's kind of not that much up to you. Like, because this is the thing, like, the whole idea of, like, an anime being censored or changed because of specific reasons, usually that's an issue between the, you know, the company that originally, you know, created the thing, and then the other company, which is usually like a TV, who, you know, like, assuming, you know, we're talking about, like, this older anime that's gonna be probably released on TV, right? It's usually between those two, and then the dub team is separate from that unless they're actively told, hey, swish this, swish that. At least from my understanding of things. I might be incorrect, but usually, at least I'm pretty sure, most of the time in Japan, the companies from Japan that own the rights to that show, that are like, I don't know what's the term, what, like, licensing or lending it or whatever over to the West, usually tell the companies that they're lending their thing to like, not change anything. And if it is changed, it's usually like a conversation between the two entities on whether something should or could be changed or not. So it's one thing for that to happen. It's a completely other thing for the dub, you know, the translation people, the localizers themselves, to kind of go out of their way to change the thing, especially when they've been given the trust to not just change things the way they want it to be. Like, it's a bit scummy. Like, I can understand the reasoning, but, like, if you're if you're being given the trust to faithfully translate a thing as is, despite the content, right, and then you decide to change it, that's gonna put a bad taste in people's mouths either way, even if it is understandable as to why you wanted to change a thing. Because it's not your job to change it unless the companies have decided, okay, change this translation for XYZ reason.
or any of the changes aren't a big deal, so why should it matter? But to that I ask, if it's not a big deal, then why change them in the first place? It clearly matters enough for it to be removed. But I'm stopping with this brief rundown, because despite there being plenty more, you're not here for this. I'm not going to pull up every release this company ever made and list every individual issue. These examples just serve to demonstrate that Discotek has a history of such changes, going back to a decade ago, both in their releases and those running the business. It's once again important to establish this, because many will try to dismiss the upcoming information as a simple outlier in their catalog, especially because Discotek has gotten such a good reputation. But from my view, it's obvious they've been moving lockstep with the industry as far back as I can see, censoring, adjusting, and changing material to be more in line with the same progressive views, both in subtle and not so subtle ways, where hopefully this section succeeded in establishing that. However, to be clear, this isn't me saying they're lying about being passionate fans. The key thing they try to sell themselves on, their interest, to some extent, is definitely genuine. This company puts in work to bring these old releases to the hands of more people, and that's probably where their reputation was garnered, but I struggle to see that as a good thing, when they are certainly not passionate or respectful enough to not tamper with the original vision when it conflicts with their own. And while there are plenty of their newer releases, I could use to show how their handling of series has only gotten worse over the years. There's no better way than to talk about what you are here for, which is the recent situation that involves the Scatman himself, Jello Apocalypse.
Why is he called the Scat Man? I don't like that. I I don't like that he
To catch
introduced him as the
uninformed
Scat
viewers
Man.
up, Discotek and their usual collaborator, Sound Cadence Studios, similar to other companies in recent memory, sought to get work done on the cheap with the benefit of perceived promotion, leading them to employ YouTubers into jobs they are not at all qualified for, akin
No.
to Yakuza's recent use of Young Yi.
That's the kind of strength we're all dreaming of.
That's not the world we live in anymore. I think you ought to know that well enough by now.
Or Capcom with Aaron Hansen.
My soul burns forever.
Watch a dual blade master at work. You're gonna regret ticking me off.
They did employ
Okay.
Moist Critical for a brief role, but more importantly is the
Moist
previously
Critical?
mentioned Jello Apocalypse. As they did not hand this man a voice role, they gave him the co-writing position on the production, the number 2 on the team.
Ooh, that's a little
Already,
dangerous.
I'm sure you're thinking this sounds awful, and trust me, the end result is literally that in many ways. However, despite it all, I'm going to posit that this might be one of the best things to happen to the localization industry in recent memory, for just how much it has exposed due to Jello's utter incompetence, as well as the gaslighting that followed. So let's take a look. Toward the end of the dub's production, Brendan Blabber, also known as Jello Apocalypse, would speak on the project through his Patreon as well as several other platforms. Throughout these, Brendan was quick to make both his and the lead writer, Marissa Lenti's, disdain for the anime clear, stating, "My involvement started when Marissa told me she was annoyed about having to localize the scripts for the show, and while Marissa thought she sort of hated Lovecom's original writing, I came to the conclusion that I definitely hated Lovely Complex." Okay, so it is quite unprofessional to openly shit-talk a property you've worked on in this industry. So
You
Lenti
don't
cannot
say.
express any-
Okay, so what? he hated the thing he's basically gonna work on. Great start. Great start to to what I assume is gonna be him partaking in the translation of said thing. Good job, guys.
opinions, as they have an official relationship with Sound Cadence, Discotek, and Toei Animation. But I will tell you what I think. And I think Lovecom is a bad show about Riza Koizumi, an actual psychopath and all-over useless freak. Frankly, having the dub come out this good, in the end, is a little frustrating. Anyone who watched this show as a kid and has fond memories of it, and revisits the dub will think, wow, it's just as good as I remember. No, it isn't. We made it good. This show sucked. Despite Jello being aware of how bad a localizer admitting to these feelings toward the production was, he still stupidly reinforces how much his co-writer, Marissa Lenti, a more established figure, also hated the show, and suggested Jello work on the production specifically so they could fix the script. These statements weren't left without further reasoning either. Brendan, in these posts, goes paragraph after paragraph, explaining that every gag throughout the show is problematic, in some way. But he focuses most heavily on the transphobia he perceived in both the show and from the author herself,
Oh, lordy.
stating that episodes focused around the character, Seiko, are thinly veiled trans panic plots, while simultaneously, and confusingly, stating that the character being sexualized relative to the females, as in treating them equally, also makes the show transphobic. All these statements culminate into a sentiment from Jello, which read, "It's not like we could write it out entirely, but we changed a lot of things to take the edge off." Where he then further goes into describe such changes, and to summarize both from his description and what is in the end product. They altered as much dialogue as possible, focusing on taking away instances of the character being referred to as a guy, while writing other characters to be both more supportive overall, as well as, when the animation made it clear the character was uncomfortable, they at least tried to change or downplay the reasoning. In fact, the goal of the dub largely seemed to be to transify the show in general. But you don't have to take it from me. Let's once again look to Jello's words. Lenti passed the episode and its script by multiple trans sensitivity readers, and not only made sure to cast a trans person as Seiko, but also to cast as many of the trans actors who auditioned for her as possible. I don't have an exact number, but I think the Lovecom dub has something like 20 trans/non-binary actors in it. It's one of the transiest anime dubs in existence, if not the transiest.
Alright, well, I don't think there's really any inherent problem with hiring whoever the hell you want to voice act a character, but if your reason for that is because you perceive a certain character to be a certain thing, and then basically, I think that's basically the main issue this guy had, is that he perceived this entire thing in a certain way, and then based his actions as what was he, a co-writer or like the second in command when it came to writing, based off of just that perception, which is a problem. That is kind of an issue. Kind of an issue.
Hiring people not for their talent, but an arbitrary thing they write in their Twitter bio, very much shows in the end product, whether it's the heckin' validization, or the lack in quality for many performances. But this disdain went so far as to have Jello later go on to explain he wanted to remove the author from the dub of the anime, as she makes a cameo in the final episode. Quote, "I did tell them that if we didn't cut the character praising the mangaka out of the episode in our dub, I would quit the co-writing position on the spot." Now here's where the title of the video comes into play, and where the lies begin, as once fans started raising concerns and bringing attention to Discotheque's dub, as well as Jello's statements. White text and black background posts from each company involved began to circulate. I'd like to read an excerpt from Discotheque's response.
This show looks cool. Angel
We are
Cop?
aware of the
What the fuck?
comments made by a contractor that worked on Lovely Complex. The English version was made with the supervision and approval of the show's original producers. Dubs commonly punch up comedy and smooth over rough patches so that the end product aligns with the show's intended audience and provokes the intended response. Discotheque has always presented this with as little alteration as is possible when translating from very different languages. We are deeply disappointed at this individual's lack of professional discretion and will not be working with him in the future. They would later state that Jello's changes did not make it into the actual dub, referencing the previously mentioned author cameo not being cut. Unfortunately, many people who cover these situations you find from YouTubers, streamers, and journalists tend to just repeat tweets that they read on the internet, in the hopes of breaking stories for more views. So
Dude, that is actually so true. It's kind of annoying, actually, how often that happens. For the moment a thing is tweeted, that's it. Everybody's scrambling to be the first one to talk about it, and then that becomes gospel. And this is such an unfortunate place to pause. I'm taking. You can't see it, but if you know this room, you know who's behind me.
it's resulted in talking heads thinking this was a good response, and consequently, sweeping this entire endeavor under the rug, to my utter bewilderment. We're gonna take this in pieces though. Firstly, we need to dispel the claim that Jello's changes didn't make it in, as this is factually incorrect.
Nice room, Yellow.
The entire dubbing cast was compromised because of him and Lenti, which was approved by these companies, as well as the wasted funds on sensitivity readings. Then further, throughout the actual dub, as Jello said, references to Seiko being a he and interactions with the character that can be seen as not progressive are largely played down, or removed, as are other problematic elements. There were a few examples on screen earlier, such as making Seiko talk about living their truth, as well as the usual insertions about sexism and whatnot. But, as is just as often the case, these changes don't stop at politics. Bounding into comics, Packer Girl did a comprehensive line-by-line comparison between the old sub and new dub, if you want to see absolutely every change. But to once again summarize what you will find in this dub, it's unfunny self-referential humor, where characters break the fourth wall, spouting out how they're in an anime, or talk about the dubbing process. In fact, the vast majority of the dialogue has unfunny jokes inserted into it, or just plainly has their dialogue quirked up to be more wacky, because this is what these localization companies do. Whether it's politically based or not, it's about reinventing the content through their own worldview. Jello made a point that from the start, he was brought on because of the frustration that was already being felt toward the anime script. This was the goal of the company, not a one-man mission. Anytime we talk about localization in recent years, that is not involved.
I do find it a little odd how comfortable the people in these positions are with basically admitting guilt that they did in fact have a heavy bias, and why they were hired for the thing, and this and that. It's a little, you would think they'd be a little smarter than that, especially if they're in trouble and they're trying to not seem like they're doing the thing people are accusing them of doing. But apparently not. Apparently not. You know?
at the beginning of production. It's these sneaky changes that don't flat out remove content like an entire scene, but edit the dialogue to make it more progressive, less problematic, or just in general becoming a creative writing prompt for the localizers. And to some extent, they admit that in this response. They state that their dubs fundamentally aim to punch up or soften the script, but contradict themselves by the end, saying they try to make it as faithful as possible. This
Okay,
is
but how are you gonna make
double
it? Yeah, this like how are you gonna say? Well, we do change the script to soften the blow, but we do it. We don't actually. We remain faithful. You can't remain faithful and change something. Like if you start changing things, you're not remaining faithful to the thing. That's not how that works.
You can't have both. Obviously, dubs result in a product not as close to the original by nature as they are spoken language. But if you're fundamentally admitting to attempting to make things more extreme, or smooth over these once again problematic edges, then you aren't creating a faithful product. We see this justification come up frequently, even with other releases coming out at the moment, such as Unicorn Overlord. And the thing I have to ask is, what does this functionally say? Where the only conclusion I can come to is that the Japanese are boring, and can't produce interesting content unless an American comes along and fixes it for them. They need to make it more wordy and wacky. It's genuinely offensive by every metric, to the artist, the art, and even an entire country. These changes often result in mischaracterization, because each character begins to speak with this passive-aggressive, flowery language. It's not that this way of speaking is totally missing from Japanese works.
Right. It's like, you don't get it. That's basically what some of these people are saying in some of these comments, I guess. It's like, you don't get it. I know better. I can make this funnier. I know how to actually do the stuff. And it's like, bro, you didn't make the thing. You don't even know the intention of the thing. You gotta just let it be. But no. No. They just got a little bit of an issue. just a little one.
Though. But that's the point. If a character was meant to speak in such a way, they would. Now, oftentimes, in response, defenders try to say,
Sorry, I like the English better. The end.
However, that's subjective. I disagree 100% of the time, even more so now that I can experience some works directly, but I don't think it matters what any of us think is better. The argument is that the author's words should be transcribed over faithfully. That's why Discotek says it in their apology, yet contradicts it at other points. Because they know what people want to hear, thus they're sneaky about how they go about changing things. The scene Jello demanded be removed and subsequently that Discotek is using to say they didn't keep any of his changes simply didn't pan out, because it would make what they're aiming to do here obvious to literally everyone, instead of just people who look closer. Unfortunately, they didn't account for just how stupid Brendan was. As to further solidify this point, he admits this sneaky nature that I often aim to prove to you in videos such as these is present in the industry in general, not just Discotek. Quote, of note, most anime distributors do tend to ask that you don't advertise changes like making things less transphobic. This is because large swaths of the anime community are racist, sexist, etc. and will descend upon a company's social media page for weeks. TLDR, most anime distributors don't care if you make things nicer, or more gay, or add more representation. They just ask that you don't flaunt the changes or use buzzwords. You're genuinely not allowed to say hot button words like sexism or patriarchy anymore in most Funimation dubs, unless it's already in the subtitles. So there you have it. Not only further proof that fans getting involved to complain about said changes has made the suits put pressure on these people to actually do their job properly, but also that they are attempting to be more subtle about their alterations. And that's what ties this all together. Jellopocalypse is a fall guy, a well-deserved one, but one nonetheless. It's not that he was completely foreign to the industry. He's been employed as a VA and other various roles. That's what allowed him to nepotism his way into this position after all. But by a lot of metrics, he was still an outsider, a new recruit to the club. It was easy to simply put all the blame on him when Discotek was exposed. But these changes weren't hidden, they approved them. encouraged them, as many shows before, and it seemed to only become a problem once we found out, echoing not only Discotech's statement, but those that I framed the beginning of this video with. None of these localizers, or their defenders, are saying they disagree with Jello's actual opinions or changes. What they are saying is that they're upset about how he gave the Chuds ammo. And they're right. I and many others have been vindicated several times throughout this video, and it's just adding to the pile. However, there's still one last piece of the puzzle here that you are being lied to about, or at least misled in relation to. In Discotech's apology, they mentioned their dubbing changes were approved by the producers in Japan. This is a commonly used talking point to push the narrative that these localizations, that are often criticized, are approved, so therefore you have no right to complain.
Okay, so I was kind of right about the whole, like, usually when there is a change, it's approved by the company that originally made the thing, or I guess author and whatnot, that is distributing it on behalf of the author, because that's usually how that works, as an author working underneath or with a company, and then they technically have the rights to it partially, and they distribute it, and then they're in charge of that whole thing. But yeah, that's I don't see how I missed the fact that they were gonna use it as an excuse. I wonder if that's true. I wonder if if go to these companies, or I guess maybe we'll know whether this is just an excuse, or if it's not. We'll see. Because it would be kind of funny if somebody went to the company and was like, hey, do you guys know about this? And the company that originally lended out the work is just like, no, we don't.
This is a tactic that goes all the way back to ghost stories, so let's take a moment to dispel some prior notions you might have. You'll find many anime soy tubers and uninformed commentators bring up ghost stories as some epic haha dub
Because
done
this is
because the original
part of the
anime
clip
was
that I
so
saw
bad,
over
it
there
resulted in
earlier.
approval to do whatever they wanted. This is factually incorrect. Looking at the data, such of which that can be found in the Japanese publication Media Magazine, Ghost Stories received high ratings, surpassing even Pokemon at the time, where it's still fondly remembered and looked back on to this day by many Japanese natives. The only source for the series' failure is Stephen Foster, the dub's localizer, or more specifically, the ADR director, who even before this show, his catalog was strictly made of content he took heavy liberties altering, much like a certain piece of Jello.
Let me go check on something again. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. My paranoia was substantiated again, unfortunately. Oh well. I don't even know what the fuck to do about this, but it is what it is. I'll worry about it later.
Goals, and continuing the similarities. He took pride in this, and would openly admit to this being done due to his disinterest in the original content. Ghost Stories has always been an unfunny degradation of someone else's work, no different than anything else we discuss. It was just made at a time when being try-hard edgy was the acceptable culture, as opposed to progressivism. Further, Foster misled his critics to justify this in the same manner as Discotek. As he stated, the distributors were the ones who gave him approval. But that's not anybody on the Japanese side. That's the American company who purchased the rights. Which is why you need to always pay special attention to the words used when approval is brought up to justify actions that alter work. Here with Discotek, it was approved by the original producers. Yet this still isn't the creators. These are suits at the highest level who don't speak English 90% of the time, so they aren't exactly looking over the changes in any detail. They're relying on the information relayed to them, and that's even if they're concerned about authenticity, which is often not the case. The majority won't give two shits as long as they're told this is for the betterment of sales, which is an easy lie to tell. But you don't need to rely on my word for proof of this. It's been demonstrated recently with Yakuza. As at the release of Infinite Wealth, an article about the game's localization production was released by the Japan Times. Throughout this article, Frank Genti speaks on how American sociopolitics affects their choices in localization, citing the Me Too movement, and how Japanese depictions of female dress are inappropriate these days, as well as references to religion, how they handle LGBT issues, and several other topics, explaining that in years prior, with the games of old, how these concerns would be pushed to the side. But with years upon years of expressing that these things are an issue, they eventually gave in. A statement that Masayoshi Yokoyama, the series producer, echoes later in this piece. Quote, "Many representations which are normal in Japan in the first Like a Dragon games are no longer acceptable today." This statement was a far cry from the series creator, Toshihiro Nagoshi's previous statement, where he said directly, "First and foremost, we think about the Japanese audience, and then we start thinking about Asian audiences. If we start thinking about different audiences, catering to all these different people, it will really lessen the appeal of what we're making here." I couldn't have said it better myself. Of course he's left Sega, so no surprise the series changed direction, but regardless. As you can imagine, the Japan Times article and Masayoshi's words created quite a storm.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. It's like, you can't get the thing to go international in the first place if it doesn't sell well where you are. So, I mean, I guess the only people that would really be able to do that off the bat would be any company that already, which, this is a Sony game, so theoretically they'd be able to just offer it, sell it all over the place, but, maybe these kinds of things have to go through like a sort of trial of their own, wherein they have to be popular where they're at first, specifically, I guess, Japanese games, in this context, has to be big in the country, and then the CEOs or whatever at the top within that region are like, okay, now we can worry about it being sold everywhere else.
From both the East and West. And the result was Masayoshi making another statement. Here he clarified that the Japanese version and Western release do not have any differences, that the localizers were making sure to only cut out things that were unacceptable. This didn't smooth over anything, as it only confirmed what people were complaining about.
I mean, yeah, that's a pretty broad statement. I guess, like, pretty broad allowance of, I guess, power, for lack of a better word, on the localizer side. Like, okay, only things that are unacceptable. Well, many people find many things unacceptable, so what are they gonna change if given the right to change anything deemed unacceptable? I guess is the main issue in the translation side of things.
But therein lies why this story is important for today's discussion, and every discussion of localization. Not only are we the consumers lied to about the approval of the creators, but those producers, creators, and all other sides of the industry are lied to about our approval. Masayoshi was made to believe that the content would be something no one desired to be in the game, so he misunderstood the issue. I often say localizers try to contort these works into their own worldview, even if they're not as brazen as Jello, but it doesn't stop there at fiction. This clearly shows how they apply it to the real world as well, where their defenders are no stranger to it either. How many times have you seen a post trying to justify progressive localization changes by saying that Japan is actually super woke? So it's okay. Let's ignore the fact that it literally doesn't matter and it's an issue of changing things to begin with, but nevertheless, this statement is still illogical. Why does everything that comes out of this country need to be distorted by these localizers then? Whether it's after the fact or directly at the source, with the reasons given to be transphobia, sexism, bigotry, etc. Of course, that's not me saying Japan is those things in reality. I brought on myself that Japanese works have been far more accepting than any American liberal going decades back. But it's like comparing the political commentary in Metal Gear Solid 2 to a Family Guy cutaway gag about the Orange Man. When representative content was included in works, they were genuine,
Jesus.
not meant as appeasement for some group, or because they were told the original content was unacceptable. They existed in the same way all that problematic content did. So to reiterate, just as we're lied to about this supposed wokeness, whether it's the altering of the content to hide the truth or further lies about the people behind it, the creators are misled just as well. Wherein Japanese culture puts a much heavier emphasis on politeness, so it's really no surprise that localizers would try to take advantage of this. With these budgets getting more and more bloated, they present themselves as trying to help these people, help these shows, games, books do better. But all they do is defile and twist these works from the original vision, sanding down every edge till it becomes acceptable strictly to this contorted view of the world that doesn't exist. These are the same desires that Jello built his changes around. And when you look at his concerns, they're identical to the Yakuza article, and every other localization justification. Problematic content, the portrayal of women, and topics relating to gender. Brendan just said it without sugarcoating his words, and that's why he didn't fit into the industry. It wasn't because of his actions, he enacted nothing atypical of what this industry allows, and I hope this video made that clear. Jello Apocalypse, for everything you can say about him, he was honest, and that's what's not allowed in the localization industry.
Well, that was a
Despite me seeing
load
this largely as a positive
stuff.
incident, for both the attention it garnered and what it revealed to us, today I'm going to have to leave you on a more somber note than recent. While out of the hands of all those involved at Discotheque, the timing of this event could not have been worse. For those unfamiliar, Lovely Complex is a very famous entry in the shoujo genre, whereas just 2 weeks prior to this incident, another shoujo artist, Hinako Ashihara, took her own life.
Oh,
I
Jesus.
don't bring this up simply to elicit an emotional response. The reasoning for her death ties directly into today's discussion, as right before her passing, Ashihara protested the TV adaptation of her series Sexy Tanaka-san. Prior, she was promised by the producers that the series would be handled with care and with little change, but this didn't come to pass. She felt immense frustration at the liberties taken with her own creation that she poured her heart into, with the note the police found after she passed further compounding these reasons for why the event took place. Ken Akamatsu, a member of the House of Counselors and author of Love Hina, had this to say on the incident. Something that shouldn't have happened, happened. In media mixed projects of manga and novels, this has been a frequent occurrence for a long time. Original developments and character changes that the original author did not want have become a problem. I think it's becoming less common, however. There's still a lack of thoroughness in terms of prior explanations and contracts regarding secondary use. This is a problem for the original author, but the original author also needs a place to go for advice and knowledge, in case they're not satisfied with the explanation beforehand or something happens later that is different from what was promised. Though I don't wish to dismiss the fact that there was certainly more going on with Ashihara that would lead her to commit such an act, it still shines a light on why I care so heavily about these things. This affects people. It's something these creators put their all into. Their heart, their soul, their dreams, and their ideas. Which
Oh,
makes
that's
it all the more
depressing.
ridiculous that Discotheque's statement was not only a masterclass in gaslighting, but those in charge like Justin Savakis were actively mocking all those concerned on his social media. While Ashihara's situation shows it's not just an issue that affects solely localization, it is certainly an issue that plagues this industry more than any other, with the little respect those in it seem to have, whilst trying to hide and deceive others to cover this fact. However, it stands to reason. that this industry's deception works on fewer people by the day. The ones looking into these things, contacting authors, and getting these localization companies in hot water is us. That's why I truly have disdain for those enlightened centrist types who go both sides or say you shouldn't be aggressive about these things, calling you cringe for genuinely caring.
They just want to grill, bro. They always just want to grill.
That's the crux of it for them. They don't actually care. They'll gladly throw these works and the people behind them into the trash, if it means making them look better to the social consensus.
Hajime no Ippo is a pretty damn good one, and I like that anime. I've watched that. I'd recommend it. It's a fun one. Kinda old, but fun.
The least important thing in the world, if you ask me. But, on that note, it's only those who act who have ever achieved anything, both concerning this topic and the world at large. Just spreading the information, complaining, and contacting companies is all part of that. The Jello Apocalypse situation does not only serve as another glimpse into how truly despicable the industry is behind the facade it presents, but also a glimpse into how people are enacting change in protest. The suits of these companies are restricting localizers' ability to alter others' works of art. And though this has led them to be stinkier in their execution, all that means is we can't be distracted by a few nice words to throw us off the trail, in the same way many were by discotheques. It has reached the point that some Japanese companies themselves are now going as far to even cut out the localization aspect entirely, as I discussed in my last video. So, I thank Jello Apocalypse for his brazen stupidity, because it showed us—
Yeah, that's something I've heard about too. I remember that now, how a bunch of the Japanese companies are basically not very happy with localizers anymore, and they're kind of cutting them off pretty I would say en masse almost. Not sure actual numbers, because obviously I don't have statistics or anything in front of me, but it's definitely shifted in that way of thinking for these companies.
Another example of how everyone contributing to these controversies are undeniably bringing about positive change, not only for ourselves to experience these works as intended, but for the very people who create them.
Ay. People just can't be chill and do their job, can they? Oh well. Suppose this is how it goes, eh? That'll be all for today then. I am satiated. My curiosity has been curiositied. That is not the proper word usage, but whatever. I shall bid thee farewell. I hope you all have a great rest of your mornings, afternoons, evenings, and nights, wherever and whenever you are. May the gods bless you. May the stars shine in your honor. I will see you all tomorrow for Daggerfall. Bye-bye.